So in last two sessions, we started just Spring Boot framework, right? We just shifted from Spring MVC to Spring Boot, and we learned how Boot is working and what are all the advantages with the Boot. Lot of benefits that we have seen here: development time, configurations, built-in Tomcat, right? Lot of stuff they have given. And in the last example, we understand that how we avoided XML file and how Spring Boot at the rate Spring Boot application is scanning all the packages when we use stereotypes, right, across the application. When you implement all your classes, controllers, services, DAOs, in other words repositories, configuration classes, component classes, whatever it is throughout the application, either controller or REST controller, service, service annotated classes, or repository annotated classes, or component or configuration annotated classes. All these classes will be scanned by at the rate Spring Boot application class. At the rate Spring Boot application class will be scanning all your packages. Until unless they are in the same package, it cannot able to find them. So your main method class should be part of under Spring Boot application root package. If the Spring Boot application package, if it is under a root package of all these classes, right, it can able to directly scan your classes. So how it will scan at the rate Spring Boot application is like a default configuration class. It's like a default configuration class, and we use this one for main method also. Main default configuration class. Here from main method we load the class reference into Spring Boot application. Spring Boot application dot run, right? Spring Boot application dot run. There we pass our main method class, so that what it will do when we load it into run method, the run method will read your annotation or any annotation configurations that you do here. It will load into directly IOC container. So your IOC journey starts here. So it will start internally IOC. And if you included Tomcat, so Tomcat also will be started. IOC will be started. Tomcat also will be started here. During Spring Boot application run itself, your Tomcat and IOCs will start. Okay. Tomcat job is only it is managing dispatcher servlet object. Dispatcher servlet is a predefined object, predefined class. It is managed by your Tomcat, and Tomcat also started during your run method itself. During your run method call itself, Tomcat also started, as well as IOC also getting started here. So IOC job is what here? It will scan all the classes which are part of your packages, all the classes from your configurations onwards, right? All the application configurations, repository classes, component classes, services, controllers, REST controllers, or REST repositories, all the classes objects, including your AOP classes. All the classes objects will be created by your IOC, and these all should be part of this main package. Let's say while you are creating, if you name it com dot something rb, if inside com.rbu the Spring Boot application class contains. And the remaining all classes should be part of inside com.rb. You can have any child packages. You can have any number of child packages under it. For controllers maybe web, services maybe service, for repositories a repository, for components you may have utils, for configurations you may have config. So in case if you don't have this root package, if your classes are not part of this root package, then you need to explicitly specify your package name under Spring Boot application. Inside Spring Boot application, you need to pass your package name so that it will pick up and create objects for your classes. Okay, so I think still here we are clear. So how it is working when we compare with the traditional XML based application, how it is working, we can easily imagine here. Now we are using IOC. By default it is creating your application context object here, and by default it is creating Tomcat object also for web applications or REST based applications. One web server is mandatory, so Tomcat it is using here. So instead of Tomcat, are there any other alternatives given in Spring Boot? Means yes, they have provided three options here. One is Tomcat option they have given. This is default one, default web server along with your web dependency. As part of web dependency you can find it. In case if you don't want this, in Spring Boot application they have given other two servers also. They have given Jetty and Undertow also. All these are web servers. You may see performance. Each server is giving different set of performances. You can maybe read through document or find it somewhere else. What is Undertow capacity or Jetty capacity or Tomcat capacity? So as default Tomcat given, I never changed it to Jetty or Undertow. I used to go with Tomcat, but you can see if you have any particular requirement that Jetty is only handling or Undertow handling, you can shift here. Yeah. Now we will see how to use that, how to change this default configuration and how to use my required choice here. Either I can go with the Tomcat web server or Jetty or Undertow. So let's see how they work. Just a minute. Yeah. Spring Boot starter project web Tomcat. Next, just a web dependency, enough one. It is almost getting imported. Almost done. Yes, yes. Yeah. So you can see default web is included. Spring Boot starter web is included here, and this web is contains default Tomcat server. This web is containing default Tomcat server. Okay. So now if you don't want it, we need to exclude that default included server. If you don't want Tomcat, which is given by default with web, if you don't want, you need to exclude here using exclude tags. Okay, before that, let me write a simple controller. New class. So far we see controllers. Let me introduce you here a REST controller. Hello REST controller. So here I can have my request mapping, and somebody call hello with the method get. And the default port number it will use here is Tomcat. By default it will use the default server dot port. Default properties we have server dot port is a default property, and this property value is 8080. So by default server dot port 8080 it will use here to start your Tomcat. But as that is reserved for me, I'll be going with server dot port is equal to 9090. So you can include here your custom port. Bus. Start it. So your application started and Tomcat also started in 9090. So you can call hello path localhost 9090 slash the rest URL is hello. So it is giving hello good morning output, and it is pure web application. It is running on Tomcat. It is running on Tomcat. Now I want to change this Tomcat. To change it, first you need to exclude it. You need to exclude it from the default configuration. Here under this dependencies, what you can do, you can exclude using exclusions. Under exclusion, you can give artifact ID and the group ID of Tomcat. So you can simply pass for the Spring Boot, Spring Framework.boot, Spring Boot Starter Tomcat. Just exclude it. And in the same place, you can include here, you can include new dependency. New dependency. Instead of Tomcat, I want to go with Jetty. So we have Jetty dependency. Let's add that here. Save it. Just shut down your application and restart it and see which server it will start. is it. Application unable to start web server. Jetty is not starting. Now we do one more time clean. Jakarta HTTP session. What is this issue? Let's see. Do we need to include all this? Let me add this Jakarta version. In addition to Jetty, this is also including. In earlier versions, we don't used to see this error. Now let's try it. Yeah. So Jetty server started as place of Tomcat. Jetty started in port to 9090. So it will behave as usual like Tomcat. You can able to see response here. Maybe you can explore more differences. Okay, Tomcat versus Jetty performance or other factors you can read. They are showing market share and all, but the actual parameters we should find out. We don't know whether this information is authentic information or not, but let's see what everyone say. Jetty versus Tomcat. So much information we have here. And here you can see compatibility of Serlet versions also. Which version of Tomcat is supporting the Serlet's versions. The compatibility also important, right? So that also you can read. Yeah, so it is having so much information here. Let's add, apart from this two, we have one more. Under top, just copy, paste, one more service. I'm just commenting it. Under top. And shut down and restart